Good afternoon and welcome to Ask a Librarian Live. My name is Neil Stokes. I'm a librarian with the Los Angeles Public Library's digital content team, and this is a weekly live stream where we talk to librarians and staff from the Los Angeles Public Library about our services, our resources, and today we are going to be talking to Tina Princenthal from the InfoNow department. If you've ever called our main Ask a Librarian hotline, you may have talked to Tina or one of her team. They are the resident, I don't know, kind of, I'm trying not to use one of these military analogies that I always use, but they're like the, I don't know, SEAL team something. They are our crack experts at answering reference questions by phone or email or chat, and Tina has been working from home and answering a lot of questions about our new Library to Go service, our contact-free pickup service. But I did just want to share, if you have not seen it, a really cool article I saw in the LA Times, which I subscribe to, so I have the paper copy here. And there you go. And it's got a punny headline that you will not see on the web version of this article, because the paper edition of the LA Times always has a pun headline, and the online one has like a search engine optimized headline, which I'll show you. And this is about librarians who are working as contact tracers. And this is something we've mentioned before. One of the things that's going on during the pandemic is that a lot of our staff, a lot of our librarians are working as what's called a disaster service worker, which is a program the city has for its employees. We all sign a sort of pledge to act as disaster service workers in the case of an emergency or a disaster. And in this case, many staff, many librarians have been volunteering to act in this capacity. And this article talks about several of our librarians, specifically Lupi, and if you've watched on Thursdays we have a Spanish language edition of this program, and she is one of the main hosts of that show, so you might recognize her. But it's a really cool article. I would check it out on the LA Times, which you can get for free through our website. We can talk about that later with Tina. Anyway, I just thought it was a really cool article, and it really shows you what we're doing and how actually librarians are very busy. We're obviously very busy at branches now handling the Library to Go service, but we're also busy supporting the city through other means. And I thought it was really cool how in this article they talk about how the skills of a librarian really translate to doing this kind of work, this kind of detective work of being a contact tracer. Anyway, let's bring in our guest for today, Tina Princenthal.
Hi.
Hey, Tina. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And Tina, as I mentioned, is the senior librarian. That's right, you're a senior?
I am the senior librarian of the InfoNow department.
Of InfoNow, yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about InfoNow and what you guys do?
Sure. The InfoNow department provides frontline customer service for the Los Angeles Public Library system. So we provide primarily remote reference. So if you have a Los Angeles Public Library card, on the back there is a telephone number that says to ask a librarian. That's us. We answer the incoming telephone calls, emails, chat, and text for the system, as well as all of our incoming snail mail. So any letters that get written to the library come to our department as well.
So I wasn't aware that you guys got that much. How much snail mail do you guys get? And what are they?
Quite a bit. We actually get a lot of prison letters that come to the Los Angeles Public Library, and we get just letters from people across the country, oftentimes requesting different questions to be answered, or they want a specific page out of one of our great genealogy books that we have only at the Los Angeles Public Library. So lots of requests for document delivery. They were looking for one specific page and one specific family history. Lots of times we'll get those letters. So yeah, it's surprising. Since March, the InfoNow department has answered about 15,000 emails not questions,
wow.
that's emails. And most of those emails have multiple questions. So we really provide a lot of frontline service. We are your experts about the library system, about what's happening with events and services and branches. We are very, very expert at walking people through our website. Most of us have it memorized so that we can guide people through e-media, guide people how to access newspapers, guide them to all of those little links we have that provide such a treasure trove of information, but you got to find it on our very packed website.
Yeah, it's very information dense, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's organically grown up too. So you've got things that have kind of built up over time. So things that might be and that's something we are working on, trying to streamline and kind of make that information architecture a little bit more, legible, helpful. But yeah,
Well,
bravo to you guys for.
I like to think of us as like librarian concierge. Like you tell us what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. And then we are experts at the website. So we can say, okay, well, you want this. Here's how to connect with it. But here's all these other resources. So for example, if somebody emails us and says, do you offer information on yoga? Yeah, we have books on yoga, but we can help guide that patron to where to find our online classes about yoga, to see if the library has any upcoming events about yoga, to find out more about all the different ways that you can access yoga through the library in ways that that person might not have even anticipated, that we have online classes you can take, or we have events, or you can meet other things like meditation groups through the library. So we try to make sure that we're not just answering the question, we're enhancing that library experience.
And not to get like too, librarian jargony, but I mean that is this inherent thing called the reference interview that we learn about in library school. And I guess maybe not everyone knows about that, but there's this kind of whole, I don't know, process that you learn how to really interrogate somebody. Interrogate's maybe an aggressive word, but like to really dig into somebody's question and not try and answer it on that first surface level, because sometimes you do uncover something that they're really asking.
And remote reference is never straightforward because it's like a box of chocolates. You're going to get some nuts in there. You don't know what questions are going to be asked of you over the phone or through email. So sometimes the reference interview is very important at really figuring out what that person is asking. For example, we had a patron who called and wanted to know what evil grasshoppers are called. Any idea? Do you have a guess? Evil
Uh,
grasshoppers, what are they called? And we sort of had to ask, like, what do you mean evil grasshoppers? What exactly context is this? Like, why are the grasshoppers evil? And she said, well, in the Bible, they eat all the crops. And we went, oh, do you mean locusts? Like locusts are referenced in the Bible? And she went, yes, the evil grasshoppers, locusts. So it's questions like that that you sort of have to probe a little deeper and find out exactly what the person's looking for.
there's always a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to hear about. I guess we might want to talk a little bit about when I mentioned the Library to Go service. Let me actually bring up our website. Give me a sec here, because I want to show where you can find information about this. So actually, can you just tell us what Library to Go is? We've mentioned it before, but let's hear it again.
Yeah, so the library is happy to be offering a curbside service where you can place holds on books through our online catalog. And once you do, what happens is that we go ahead and prepare that book for you. You get an email notification letting you know when the book's arrived. And then you just give a call to your pickup location branch and they set up an appointment with you. And once you have your appointment, you just show up at the library. We have it all bagged and ready to go for you to pick up. So the process is pretty straightforward. You place your hold, you wait to be notified, you make your appointment, you pick up and go.
Awesome. And I guess we could even, let me see, you were talking about yoga. Let's see if I can find a yoga book, and maybe I could even show people what this looks like in our catalog, because people might be used to our hold process. Okay, yoga, 1999. Let's look at this book here. And I'll just show folks, this is our catalog where you would normally place a hold. And you can see now that when you click place a hold, it's going to ask you for your library card. Let me see if I can just get that in there real quick. And it's going to ask you for your pickup location. And what this
There
has
it is.
changed to display is now these are just, it's just displaying, we have 73 locations, so now it's only showing our, what is it, 18, 19 library to go hubs. And so these are kind of spread around the city. But not every library is open as a hub. You have to pick the one that's closest to you. So you would just, and for me, I think that's like, I don't know what that is, maybe Echo Park.
Can we show
And
them
I'll go
something
back
as
in.
well?
Yeah,
Could I
go
have you
ahead.
click on copy locations? Because we get a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
So copy locations is a really useful link if you're in our catalog. And the reason for that is lots of times it'll tell you how many copies we have, but you might want to see where they're located. Now, it doesn't matter so much where they're located for the curbside service, but it's helpful because you can see how many copies are currently on the shelf versus checked out or versus reference. So if you take a look there, you'll see it says collection, CIRC. That sounds for circulating, so you know it's a book that can be checked out. If you go to place a hold on an item and it won't let you, that's because the book might be referenced and it'll say in that little box REF. And that stands for one of the books that can't leave the library because it's either rare or very expensive or one of a kind and couldn't be replaced in our collection if something happened to it. So that's a really good tip to have when you see there's multiple copies. It'll let you see where those copies are. And that's good in general, not just for the curbside service, but for the future when we have all of our branches open again. It'll let you see where they're located.
Yeah. I was seeing if I could try and find something. I guess these yoga books are probably mostly circulating, but
Yeah, I would think
oh,
so.
here's a reference.
There
So,
you
yeah,
go.
that's what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, that's
Ref
a
means
deep book.
reference.
I bet you it's a big, heavy reference book. Those
Yes,
detail
I
publisher
agar.
books have the best pictures.
So yeah, and if all of our locations were open, this could tell you that you would be able to go to one of these branches, right, and get this off the shelf. But in our current situation, you'd still have to place a hold and get it. But if it's at one of the hubs and you select that, would you get it faster, you think, or?
No, it doesn't really affect how fast you get it. So we know
Yeah.
some people who really have been trying to get their books faster through that. It doesn't help right now because so many people are placing holds on books, and the time it takes us to prepare it, bag it, get it ready for you to pick up, it doesn't speed up the process very much. It's just good for when you are looking for something like, we had someone looking for book restoration. They wanted a book on repairing books. Well, some of our books on that topic are really old, so they're referenced because they're irreplaceable. So she was having trouble placing a hold on a book like that because so many of them were referenced. So once we were able to guide her and show her, like, here's how you find circulating copies of that topic, it was a lot easier for her to place a hold and get a book that was really going to help her out.
And that's something that you guys can help with at InfoNow, right?
Yeah, no, I just answered that question. So we gave her some recommendations, some tips on how to search the catalog. She was looking to repair children's books specifically, so we gave her some insight onto that topic. So yeah, we exist to sort of enhance the library experience. So when people have questions, we try to give them a little bit extra to sort of guide them through and really make sure that they're finding everything that might be relevant to their search, not just the one thing.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring up, this was a post from our Instagram page. Keith, our social media manager, took some photos at some of the hubs, and just to show you kind of the volume of books that are being processed. And this is just in a public area, so they've taken over all of the tables. This is behind the scenes of some of our
and
staff.
that's just the top of the cart you're seeing. You got to remember, these carts usually have 3 or 4 tiers, so there's probably books all the way down to the ground over there. That is a lot of books.
Yeah. So I know the staff who are working at these hubs are working really hard, and I wouldn't say they're overwhelmed, but they're definitely keeping
We're
busy,
working
so,
hard. Yeah.
So I thought maybe, maybe you could talk about some of the other questions people have asked about. I know we do have on the page, which is LEPL. Let me just put that link in the chat too. But lepl.org/library to go. We have a frequently asked questions, but what are people calling and asking about? What are people confused about when it comes to
Well, book returns is a big one. A lot of people are asking about where can they return their books. You can return your books to the book drops of any of our pickup locations shown right there on the screen. They have their drop boxes open. We ask that you don't return your books to the same place that you can pick up your books, your curbside pickup. We're trying to keep that space for the holds clean. So we ask that you return your books to the book drop instead, so that we can keep books coming in one place and books going out in another. Once you return your book, you might not notice that it comes off your account right away. We are following the Department of Health guidelines to quarantine those books for up to 3 days after we get them returned. And we're getting so many returns right now, as you could probably imagine. It's taking some of the branches a little bit longer. So if you return your books and you still see them on your account for, I would say, up to a week after, that's pretty typical. We're still getting those books checked in. But the good news is that it's a pleasant reminder that we went fine-free back in April. So when your books do get checked in up to a week after you returned them, you're not going to see any overdue fees or anything. They're just going to get cleared right off your account. And that's just to make sure that we're quarantining our items as they come in so that everything stays safe.
And I believe that materials that were checked out, wasn't there an extension?
Yes. So right now, anything that was checked out back in March before all this happened, all those books have been extended to September 30th.
Wow.
So people have lots of time to return their items. We're letting people know if one of the pickup locations is too far and maybe you have mobility issues, so it's not obtainable for you to get out to one of those branches right now. We have until September 30th, and we're just in our first phase of reopening. So you have time to wait to return those books to a location that's more convenient for you. So if you can return them to your local branch, that's good. But if not, you have until September 30th. No reason to panic yet.
You did mention kind of the recommended guidelines that you guys are following for this quarantine. I was curious if you had any more info kind of about how that information came about. Like, where did you learn about how long, etc.?
Oh, like how they determined the 3-day quarantine?
That period, yeah.
You know, that's a tough question because I know that Susan Broman and many of our library administrators were working very hard to determine what the safest policies were. And what's funny is that I wish the whole world could witness what a meeting with librarians is like when it comes to researching a topic. Because other people might be like, well, we looked it up and this is what we found. But as librarians, we get obsessive. So I have no doubt that there were several articles involved, lots of research on what the Public Health is doing and what the American Library Association recommends, and all over the place. I mean, the amount of information that was sent to me to read up on quarantining library materials and across the country, what that's looking like. I don't think that any, or I should say few organizations are as obsessed about research about library materials as the librarians have been. So I can't say for sure how they determined that, but I know that is the Department of Public Health guidelines right now, that we quarantine those return books for 3 days so that we can reprocess them after that. So it's safer for our staff and safer for the public. And that's really been our guiding principle through this whole curbside process, to make sure that things are safe for our staff, safe for the public, that we're able to make these books accessible in the safest way possible.
Excellent. Yeah, that's.
Oh, and that reminds me of something else. For curbside pickup, right now our hours are pretty restricted because we're in that first phase. So most pickups are taking place Monday through Friday between 10 and 4:30. If that time isn't convenient to the public, we do allow other people to come pick up your items during that time. So that's really helpful. If you're working or you have childcare, you can ask a friend or family member to help you pick up those library books.
That's so cool. And how do they can just, anyone can do it, or?
Yeah, so when you schedule your pickup appointment, just let the library staff member know that you'll be sending someone else to pick up your items. And then you have your library PIN that you'll confine to that person. So when they go to pick up your item, they'll know the name it's under, they'll know your library PIN, and that way we can verify that they're the person you sent.
Excellent. I guess we could kind of walk through, I mean, what does it look like when you go to the branch and you pick up your, maybe we can just go step by step. What does this process look like? So
it's a little
made
different.
Your hold.
Yeah, it's a little different for every branch, but essentially once you've made your pickup appointment, the branch will tell you where to go, and they'll remind you to wear your face covering. So what you can expect is you'll arrive at the branch, and we have like designated spaces for the library pickup that has like the markings on the ground, like you see everywhere now, with the 6 feet line that's set up for you. And at Central Library, for example, we have a large sign that says what telephone number to call so that we know you're there. And so what you can expect is you'll get into the line, you'll give us a call saying, hey, I'm here for my pickup. And then they send someone out with a nice brown bag all ready to go with all your books in it. So you can just pick it up off the counter and then be on your way. It's really straightforward. And if you're someone who doesn't have a telephone number or a mobile phone to call us when you arrive, they can still make that appointment with you for a specific time, so they know when you're arriving and they'll be ready for you. They'll poke their head out to make sure that they can run the books out to you without calling. So we're trying to be as accommodating as possible to make sure that people can use this curbside service and that books are ready to go when people need them. We just are making these appointments to make sure that we are able to spread out people coming to the library and that the books are pulled. Because as you saw in that picture, we have a lot of books we're sorting through. So those appointments give us the opportunity to make sure that we have everything packed together for you, checked out, and ready for you to just grab and go.
Excellent. And I wanted to show, this is another picture from our Instagram, but this is just a reminder that, sorry, what would you say?
It's the brown bag. It's all packed up and ready to go.
Right. I do like that. I like the bag. And I like that it's not a plastic bag for some reason. But yeah, a reminder too that this is not like a curbside only, you can come in any mode of transit is welcome, including bikes, which I appreciate as a bike person myself.
Yeah, Central Library's had a lot of people walking up. It seems like people are using this as an opportunity to get some exercise too, which is sort of exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm just dying anytime I can to take a walk around the block. You can see my dog in the background. He's exhausted because he's getting like 3 walks a day at this point.
Nice. Mine is here too. I don't know if you can see it. There she is.
They're working hard, aren't they? While we're working from home, our dogs are working from home, just sleeping.
They're sleeping hard, that's for sure. So if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Let me just double check. Oh, Diane, one of our staff members is commenting we're using information from the Realm research, which I am not familiar with, but perhaps, Tina, you know something about that. That's regarding, of course, the research into the science behind how long we quarantine our materials for. Well, that's Library to Go, and I don't know, are there other questions that you're getting from folks that are about Library to Go, about picking up materials? Like, what are people asking when they email and call? What are people confused about the most, do you think?
I think returns are a big issue, like I mentioned. Picking up, how can they pick up? The other thing people are wondering is a lot of people are maybe out of town at this time. They've gone other places, or they're vacationing with close family. And so the other thing we're guiding people through is how to suspend your holds, so that if you're not available to pick them up now, you can suspend them until a later date. And that's accomplished through your My Library account. If you go to our homepage and you click on My Library account in the top right, you can access your account and view your holds there in order to set a date for your holds, so that they won't be made available until you're ready to pick them up. And that's a useful feature for when you go on vacation, or if you're busy and you can't obtain your holds. Doing that will allow you to set the date on when your items are going to become available. A lot of times people use it too for if they have holds more than they can read at one time and things are coming in faster than they're expecting. You can postpone your holds to prevent additional items from becoming available. So you'll see right there on your screen, you have that little word that says suspend until.
Yeah, exactly. So I've done this with some books.
Yeah, and you can suspend it so that it becomes available later on.
Exactly. And you continue, so these I've had suspended for a while, so I'm number 1 in the queue, right? Because you move up in the waiting list.
So you don't lose your place in the line. You continue to move up as normal. It's just the book does not become available to you until you're ready to pick it up. So it's really convenient, like I said, if you placed a bunch of holds before this and now your interests have changed, you can suspend items so that you don't have 6 books come in at once, more than you can read at a time. If you're going on vacation, you can suspend it until the end of your vacation. And it just makes it more convenient so that you're not trying to scramble and get those books when you're not prepared to.
Another note from Diane in the comments, she's reminding us that the brown bags have information about our summer reading challenge, which is going on right now.
Yeah.
Through August. And you can get, I didn't know this, you get a branded LAPL playing cards, which I might have to request another book so I can get these playing cards. Thanks,
have you
Diane.
been doing the challenge? I've been doing it. I really enjoy it.
I am behind on the challenge, but I was trying for a while. But it is going, let me put up the URL.
Every time I'm
/summer.
And I get one of those badges up on the screen, it's like fireworks in my brain. I'm just so excited every time I go in and I log my reading and I see it telling me that I'm doing better and better. It's a lot of fun to do the challenge. It's a lot of fun. And if I had kids, I'd definitely be doing it with my kids, because it gives you such a sense of achievement when you can look back and see how much you've read too, because it lets you log all the days.
Yeah, so that's our summer reading challenge. The URL's there, lapl.org/summer. You should definitely check it out. You can, like Tina was saying, you can log your reading, your activities. It gives you badges. You can earn prizes. Very cool, and it's extended this year through August, I believe, through the end of August. So since we know a lot of people are still at home and looking for stuff to do, and maybe some encouragement to keep up their reading. And it's cool too because they're also letting you record your activities, and some of those activities can include like volunteering, contributing to our Safer at Home archive, which is our sort of COVID-19 related community archive. So you can contribute photos and writings and things like that are related to our current situation, and they'll become part of our digital collections at the library. So very cool. lapl.org/summer. I feel like we've talked a lot about Library to Go, and one thing that I wanted to kind of pick your brain about while you're here is, we talked about what your department does, but obviously you get so many, the evil grasshopper is such an awesome story. What are some other like really standout reference questions that you've gotten?
Do giraffes talk? Was a question I received.
Say that again?
Do giraffes talk? Do giraffes talk to each other? And I had to ask the patron, well, what do you mean exactly? Like, do they talk? And it was that this man had been watching TV, and the TV said that giraffes don't make any noise, that they're silent. And he didn't believe that. He felt like giraffes should talk to each other in some way. And I just wanted to clarify, like, well, what do you mean by talking? Like, what are we actually talking about when we say, are giraffes talking to each other? So he just wanted to know really if they made noises, and if they made noises, what those noises sounded like. And that was a really unique reference question to look up, like, what do giraffes sound like? So I looked it up, and the answer is that they're capable of making, like, I guess with their long throats, they're capable of making long gargling noises. So, and this is from the World Book Encyclopedia. It mentions that giraffes are capable of making like throat gurgles at each other. So that was memorable, something that I never would have learned had I not been a InfoNow librarian. We had another person who called and wanted to know where the name America came from. So why America was named America. And I had no idea. So I had to look it up. And again, we were able to go into our databases and run some searches and find out that it was named after, oh goodness, what was the man's name? He was an Italian explorer called Amerigo Vespucci. And so we were able to find information on him to provide the patron with, so they could read up on the person who America was named after. And there's like a whole story there on why it was named after him and not Columbus, and who he was and why he was esteemed to have America named after him. So, it's those questions where you're answering one little thing, and the next thing you know, you're finding out all about the lives of giraffes and the Italian explorers who America is named after. So it just sort of, I don't know, I think most librarians sort of have like a love of learning. We like finding things out. And so when patrons call and they have these questions, it's just candy for my brain. I just want to keep looking and seeing like, well, what happened with this? Well, what's the story with that? And even things like we had someone call and ask, what's a cabana boy? Because they were watching like an old Elvis movie and somebody said, oh, you're just a cabana boy. And he had never heard of that expression. So then we were looking that up and finding out where that expression came from and what it meant in the context of the movie. We have a lot of fun. It's always fun to sort of trace these questions and find the answers. And the library has so many resources to do that. It's an adventure. It's like a scavenger hunt.
Now, when you're answering a question like that, you're obviously trying to find the answer, but are you also trying to educate the patron in like how you found that information? Are you trying to teach them a little bit while you do this?
Absolutely. When you love something, you want to share it, right? So lots of times we'll ask the patron, like, do you have the internet at home? Are you in front of your computer now? So that we can guide them through and we can show them exactly where we're finding it. Because of course, especially under normal circumstances when we're on the phones, we have calls coming in all day long. So we want to be able to give each person their individual time while also being able to take the next question. So for these questions like, where does the name America come from? We can provide a quick answer, but it's always much better if you can guide the patron to that resource so that after you're done on the phone, they can keep exploring and learning and just hop frog from one subject to another. And a lot of our online resources at the library really provide that treasure trove of information where if you're interested in something, you can just keep learning and learning and learning about all the circumstances surrounding it. So lots of times we're guiding people through our databases, we're guiding them on how to find things in our catalog so they can explore a lot of titles related to what they're looking for. A lot of time we're guiding them on how to conduct a search to cast a broader net. So they're finding a lot of articles related to the newspaper article they were looking for or the subject they were looking for. So it's really about making sure that patrons are able to sift through all the different things we have so that they can really enhance their learning process, enhance their research.
Right. I like to say that like librarians don't know, like people are like, oh, you're a librarian, you like know everything, or I definitely don't feel that way, but I feel like librarians are people who know where to find, where to look, or where to start looking for information, right?
100%. So I think that's something that always gets confused is that people will talk to me and they'll say, well, Tina, how long do parrots live? I'm sure you know, somebody's asked you. And lots of times I don't know. I don't know more fun facts than other people. People think I'd be really good at like trivia games. I'm not necessarily superhuman at trivia games, but I am good at knowing where to find information and where to look for things. And that for me is the superpower, is being able to find out, not necessarily just knowing.
So cool. I wanted to share this really quick. So Diane texted me to let me know that I guess this is the study, the Realm Project. And this is an acronym for Reopening Archives, Libraries, and Museums. And so I guess this is the research that kind of we based our quarantine period and our materials handling policy on. And this is OCLC, Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is like a federal sort of funding group. Battelle, I don't know what. But anyway, so this is the science behind our quarantine. So you know that there is some really solid foundation for how we're handling our materials. And
that's librarianship like I'm talking about. Why just give you the answer? Here's the whole website that you can
read
explore and read about and click on all those links and just go straight down the rabbit hole.
Here, I'm going to put it in the comments so you can check out the science behind our book handling. So, what is the thing that you think people have the most trouble with? Like
media.
E-media. Okay. And what is e-media? Like what falls under that?
So lots of times it's first time e-media users. So people who are wanting to check out an ebook for the first time. And given everything that's happening, we're seeing more first-time e-media users than ever. In InfoNow, we like to joke about the winter holidays because you always have a rush of new media users right after the holidays. People get those Kindles or iPads for Christmas.
Oh, they have a new device, right?
Yeah, and then they want to check out ebooks. And so January is like, brace yourself for the e-media questions month. Because everybody wants to. But now with things happening, more people are at home. They want to start using that digital library. And so we're getting a lot of questions on how do I start? Where do I go? Because just like with the rest of the library website, we have a lot of options. So for most first-time people, we do recommend Overdrive since it has one of the more user-friendly interfaces. And so if you scroll a little bit on your screen, you can see that link there. It's the blue square with the white O in it for Overdrive. There we go. And Overdrive has 2 different apps that you can download. We recommend the Libby app by Overdrive. And so people can download that Libby app and it'll walk them through the process to get started. Just a reminder, you always want to use the Los Angeles Public Library as your library whenever it asks you to identify an institution that you belong to. So you would add Los Angeles Public Library as your library, and you'd use your library card number, no dashes or spaces, and your PIN, which is the last 4 digits of the telephone number we have in your account. There's Libby. I love that little logo. I'm always telling people it's like the first part of the word library and then like the girl's name. And then you have the little girl who like pops up with her book right there as you scroll up and down, which I think is such a cute logo. And so Libby is a really easy way if you have a device of getting connected to ebooks. You can borrow them and read them all in one place. On your computer, you can just go to Overdrive and you can start reading using the read in browser link. And that's also a really easy, fun option that doesn't require any additional software.
So yeah, we've got a question in the comment. Maybe we answered your question, Albert, but Albert is asking, can I use my Kindle Reader with LAPL?
Yes, you can. Yeah, so it depends. If you have a black and white Kindle, what you can do is go to the Overdrive website like Neil is demonstrating right now, and you'll see that they do have ebooks in that Kindle format, so you can wirelessly deliver them to your Kindle device. If you have a Kindle Fire, which has that nice color display, you can download the Libby app on your Kindle Fire to secure content.
All right, so I've borrowed this book, and then I am now presented with this Read Now with Kindle option. So
there we go.
Click on that, and it'll take me to the Amazon interface. Click Get Library Book, and then that's going to deliver it to my Kindle.
Exactly. And people always make this mistake. If you share a computer at home with family or friends, make sure when you go to get that book, you're logged in as yourself, not logged in as your roommate or your husband or anybody else. You want to make sure that your Amazon account says hello and your name at the top, because lots of people make that mistake.
This is a cool thing I noticed. Let me see if I can find it again. I don't know if you knew this, but I use Libby the app on my phone.
Oh, Albert's downloading the Libby app. Yay. I've gotten my wings today.
All right, so we helped somebody today. That's cool. Okay, so this is actually Libby on the web. Did you know this? If you go to libbyapp.com, it gives you the same interface as the Libby app, but on a website.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which I forget how I stumbled on this, but it's not like publicized. But what's cool about this is, so this is through this vendor called Overdrive, and it's all the same content and everything as the website we were just looking at, but it's like the Libby app, which is a little simpler of interface. And then also one cool thing is, like, I have an LA County library card and an LA Public Library card, as that you can access both at the same time. Whereas with the regular Overdrive site, you've got to be signed into the actual library's different page. So little hack, libbyapp.com if you like Libby, but you're on your computer and you want to look at things with that interface. So
I get a lot of questions, Neil, on what is the difference between the Overdrive app and the Libby app, because they do the same thing. They're with the same company, but they're 2 separate apps. And I tell people you really only want to have one or the other. You don't want to have both on your device because it can create some confusion. But the primary difference is that the Libby app is intended to be super user-friendly. It's very straightforward. You find what you want, you borrow it, and it automatically downloads it to that Libby app for you. The Overdrive app is their older app, and it has a lot more advanced features in terms of how you can download content, in what way it's downloading, in what format it's downloading, searching for materials. So if you're someone who wants to really be specific on how materials are downloaded, you can use that Overdrive app. But I find that plethora of choices that it offers creates more confusions and more opportunities for things to go wrong if you're someone who's just a basic user. So I like the Overdrive app because I want to have that advanced search feature. I want to be able to tell my audiobooks exactly what parts to download and when, and I want to be able to mess around with it. For someone like my mother, who wants to just click on it and have it appear on her iPad so she can start reading right away, the Libby app has been perfect. And after a while, I switched to Libby too because I like that simplicity of I see it, I want it, I got it. So that's why we're always recommending Libby, because if you're getting started for the first time, it's just a lot easier to use. It has a much more straightforward user interface. But that doesn't mean the Overdrive app is obsolete. It still works just fine. It's really just a matter of personal preference at this point, which you prefer. Me personally, I think I've become Team Libby, but people can explore both and decide.
Libby's interface is really nice too for listening to audiobooks, I think.
Yeah,
It's really
agreed.
simple. I have to, let me try and reload this.
Is he still trying to reload it? Where did he go?
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
I was at, the comments weren't loading for me, and that seems to have fixed it. I didn't see Albert's last comment. What is, we don't want to go through everything today. What's another e-media thing that people have issues with?
Oh, well, something unusual. A lot of our patrons use Pressreader to read newspapers online. If you're not familiar with Pressreader, it is on our e-media page, and it offers digital access to a global variety of newspapers. So newspapers from around the world are available to you digitally with Pressreader. And oftentimes we get questions, where is the Sunday LA Times? I have the LA Times for all throughout the week, but Sunday is disappearing. And for one reason or another, that's because Pressreader catalogs the Sunday LA Times separately from the rest of LA Times. I think they do it just to cause us trouble. So if you're looking for that, what you have to do is you have to search in Pressreader Los Angeles Times Sunday, and you'll see they have all the Sunday Los Angeles Times put together in one place, as opposed to during the week Los Angeles Times. It drives us crazy, but I'm glad to have the opportunity to warn people that's what you're looking for. If you go to search publications, you'll see it pop up if you search Los Angeles Times. They'll have Los Angeles Times and Sunday Los Angeles Times. See it right there, right there.
Oh, wow.
Los Angeles
That's
Times
bizarre.
Sunday and Los Angeles Times. We get all sorts of questions about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And this, again, Pressreader is an awesome app because, you can read the LA Times, you can read the article I was talking about earlier, all for free. And it's a pretty good...
And if you're a crafter or you're a foodie or you have any sort of interest, you saw that they do categorize their newspapers by subjects. So if you just want to browse for crafting stuff, you can do that. If you want to browse by country, they also have that option. So if you're interested in what's in the newspapers in Italy right now or in Brazil, you have that option to search through and see what's going on in those other countries. It's been very popular.
These are all from Argentina.
Yeah, it's been very popular if you speak another language and you want to read information in that language. They just have a huge variety of countries and content that you can browse through. I'm addicted to the food and drinks.
Some Russian-speaking patrons at some point, and they were really into it because they could read their newspapers from Russia.
I like finding all the publications for food and drink from England and from Canada, because their content's a little bit different than what we're seeing in the United States. Their recipes are a little bit different. So it's fun to explore what's happening in those culinary magazines in Canada and England versus the United States. So yeah, it's a lot of content to go through and to explore, see what you can find.
So cool. So I feel like unless anybody has any other comments or questions for Tina, or just anything, I feel like we could say goodbye for now. Unless, Tina, did you have anything else that you wanted to say or leave us with?
No, I guess if I was going to leave you with anything, it's that we're always happy to help. We really enjoy having patrons write us and let us know what they're looking for, because it really brightens our day to be able to help guide people to things that are going to make them happy, to library services that are going to be relevant to their search. So it's just our pleasure to assist the public. And we're really, really glad that people haven't forgotten about us, that they're still sending us lots of those questions. If they have any issues with their library to go or with their library card or anything like that, or they're stuck on e-media, we are able to help them right now through email. And so please visit our webpage that he's just posted up, the Ask a Librarian. Send us an email right now. We're really happy to guide you through it step by step, make sure that you're good to go so you have what you need.
What's your turnaround?
Our turnaround is pretty fast. So it's business days, it's up to 48 hours we respond. So Monday through Friday. And there's only 6 of us. And we've answered so many questions so far. But the turnaround's pretty fast. People can usually expect an answer within 48 hours.
That's awesome. That's really impressive, actually, since you've gotten, what, tens of thousands of questions in the last few months.
We're getting on average over 200 emails a day, divided up among the 6 of us. So yeah, it's a lot, especially because these aren't simple, like, what time are you open questions. Lots of times they're those e-media questions. They're navigating people's websites, finding newspaper articles. But we're happy to do it. We're happy to spend the time to make sure that people are getting the information they need, that we're able to impart a mass of knowledge that we have about the library's website to really help people achieve. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky to love my job.
And you guys are all working from home, I assume.
Yes. We're helping with curbside service as well. So I was in the library last week answering emails, but this week I am home again and answering emails. So the consistent thing is answering emails.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Tina, for joining us today. Really interesting stuff. Really cool to hear about what InfoNow is doing. Again, be sure to visit the Ask a Librarian page. That's where you can email them, get an answer to your questions. They can help you with just about anything, it seems. And I wanted to really quickly plug something that's happening later today, which is our Teens of LA Film Fest. We're having our screening and awards ceremony today for the finalists of what is a really cool program this summer, and I've watched most of the films now, and they're just really amazing to see what our teens are doing, making films. Some of them actually have to do with and are contextualized by COVID-19 and life during, safer at home, and so definitely tune in. Let me see if I can bring this up. Well, it is coming up on YouTube in 3 hours, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just click subscribe and you can click notifications, and you'll get a notification when we go live for any of this kind of thing. Anytime we go live or do a program, you'll get notice. So please join us for that later today. Tina, thanks again. I will say goodbye to you and let you get back to answering thousands of emails. So have a great afternoon, Tina. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was good to see you. Bye.
And that's it from us. Like I said, join us today for the Teens of LA Film Fest. Be sure, if you are trying to get physical materials, if you want to check out books again, It's lepl.org/library-to-go, or you can just look up books in our catalog and reserve them, place a hold for an item going to our one of the Library to Go hubs. So that service is now available, and I believe we are opening some additional Library to Go hubs in the near future, so stay tuned for that. And that's it for Ask a Librarian Live this week. We will see you next week. Have a great afternoon, have a great weekend.